Taxes. They can please only those who collect them and even more those for whom they are collected, but for the rest, who are plucked and shorn, taxes make one thing clear: your place in society. Taxes are certainly necessary. We have to pay pensions, salaries to public sector employees, feed the parasites in the state, and all that. Money will always find a use. Where to get money for all this, if not from those who earned it? But someone also has to do other, not the most attractive things. For example, someone has to serve in the army, extract oil and coal, plow in a factory, clean toilets, that is, do unattractive things in life from the point of view of common sense, which meanwhile someone has to do. And you and I understand that this is necessary, but let anyone do it, but not us, and taxes in this sense are no exception. They must be paid, but it is desirable that others pay them, but not us. If you have been reading me for a long time, and you are familiar with my previous articles, then you already understand the whole essence of money, which in itself does not mean anything. What matters is our work, for which we receive money from other people, or to be more precise, the value is the result of our work. And if we approach the issue of taxes from this position, it turns out that by paying taxes, we are kind of working for someone else, besides ourselves. And we certainly don't want to do this. Sometimes we don't even want to work for ourselves. That's why some people go into business. What can we say about other people? We certainly don't want to work on them. But the state is set up in such a way that the government takes money from some and gives it to others. That's what our society is based on. But not everyone wants to pay taxes, or rather, many don't want to, and only a few can avoid it, those who either have a good head on their shoulders, or they pay those who have a golden head that frees them from taxes. Well, what can I say? It's always been like this with people, that the strong and smart live at the expense of the weak and stupid. And it doesn't matter at all how your money is taken away, by direct violence against you, by deception, or by the law, that is, again, by violence. Bandits will take your money by means of brutal violence, quite obvious and primitive. Swindlers will deceive you, which is also violence, because you will ultimately remain a loser. And the state, using violence in the form of law, will also take its own, and in the end, you are naked as a falcon. But do not worry, friends, every sheep is sheared as actively as it allows itself to be sheared. Remember that the last word is always yours. In the meantime, I want to recommend you to read one of my articles, which is called Knowledge About Money, because if you are serious people, then it will certainly be useful to you. I try to be very useful for you in my articles, so that you do not waste time reading them. Well, within the framework of this article, let's move on. Who pays taxes? Well, I hope you have already understood that if you do not want to do something, but you are forced to do it, then you are definitely a weak person, and you need to work on this. And the strength of a person lies primarily in his intellect. This is what distinguishes us from animals. Thanks to intellect we rose above animals, and it is also by intellect that we differ from each other, and in the same way, thanks to a well-developed mind, we bypass each other. Whatever they say about the animal essence that lives inside each of us and prevails over the human essence, do not believe this nonsense. If a savage stands above you and commands you, this does not mean that the beast is stronger than a man, it means that you are not smart enough. But in the case of taxes, it is not beasts that are above us, but very smart sons of bitches. I say this without any malice, but as it is, because these vultures are ready to squeeze all the juices out of us. They are smart people, and there are many of them. We must admit this and appreciate it. Those who are in power and rule millions are damn smart people, otherwise they would not rule people. In addition, there is a whole team of them, which, one might say, works against each of us, and their task is to make us work for 10, and pay for 1. Taxes themselves are not the largest expense item in the lives of many people. However, for small and medium-sized businesses, this can be a very significant cash outflow, which, of course, does not always go to good purposes. So who pays taxes in our country? They are paid by law-abiding citizens and fools, the latter, it should be noted, always and everywhere pay for everyone, so being a fool, and even worse, an idiot, is truly a curse of God. Well, and law-abiding citizens are those people who either could not hide the majority of their funds, and pay taxes on them, or they pay exactly as much as they themselves are happy to pay. Hiding from paying taxes is stupid. It's like answering a question at the military registration and enlistment office about where you want to serve, saying, "I don't want to serve." Stupid, but many do it. However, those people who hide from paying taxes also act thoughtlessly. Why once again hang on yourself the label of a tax evader, not respecting and not obeying the law? It is much better to think about how to get around taxes. So you either pay taxes, and if you are a complete fool, you will pay them honestly from everything you have earned, or, if you are smarter, you will pay exactly as much as you could not hide from the state, and if you are very smart, you will not pay them at all, but you will do it wisely. Or, being a stupid malicious defaulter, you will either be on the run or in jail. Don't we have enough smart guys sitting there who thought that I would just take and not pay taxes, and go to hell? About how you cannot pay taxes at all or pay them wisely, a little lower, and I in turn want to recommend you to read another of my articles, which is called Real Money. I sincerely advise you to do this. The article is useful, you will learn a lot for yourself from it. How to avoid paying taxes, and so, you and I, as reasonable and conscientious citizens, understand that taxes must be paid. The state must spend money on defense, on medicine, on social payments, roads in the country must be built, we understand all this. By the way, in Russia, I will speak for that country first of all, because that is where I live, our roads are very expensive. As I understand it, they are made of very high quality and advanced materials, and with golden hands, which naturally cost a lot. That is why our roads are built to last for centuries, and that is why they are so expensive. So for all this, and for much more, including the salaries of civil servants, especially the salaries of officials, money is needed, which means taxes must be paid, and we understand this perfectly well. But you and I also understand that taxes are paid by fools, if, of course, they pay all the taxes that the state intends them to pay. After all, judging by the state's attitude to honest taxpayers, you can't think or say otherwise. They, fools, simply give part of what they earn to someone else, to whom they supposedly have to give their money, because it is necessary, it is right, it is the law. In addition to this, we also understand that the state does not pat us on the head for honesty, rather, seeing your intellectual giftedness and the highest integrity, it only looks deeper into your pocket. It does this because there are people, law-abiding, about whom I wrote above, who pay taxes, but not on all their income, but only on part of it, and that is why they are so crystal honest. And the state understands this. Looking at all this, we quite rightly ask ourselves the question, how not to pay taxes? Well, just like that, for your general education, it is interesting to just know about this, isn't it? You know, friends, the answer to this question is very multifaceted. You can recommend moving to a country where there is not only no income tax, but no taxes at all, or you can give practical advice on each specific type of business, since there are loopholes everywhere that allow you to legally evade taxes. But if you have money, that is, you really earn well, you have a developed business and you have money to burn, then it is better to hire good accountants and lawyers, let them deal with this issue. After all, you can hide money from taxes in a lot of ways. You can have no income at all, or have it, but very small, from which you pay taxes. There are a lot of options, especially if, as I have already said, you take into account the specifics of each specific type of business. But if you do it wrong, then sooner or later you will face problems with the law, and why the hell do you need them? You are smart people, and only fools break the law. I will not describe here specific schemes of your actions, in which you can evade paying taxes, even taking into account the fact that they are not illegal in principle. And I won't do this not because I don't want to share such information with you, but because I am responsible for you, and I don't want you to remember me with a bad word when you have problems with the law. Or else you can say later, he advised us, and now we are cleaning up the mess we got ourselves into because of him. And you will be right in saying so, because even I, knowing in principle many tax evasion schemes, trust this matter to lawyers and accountants, who do everything so perfectly that they eliminate for me all risks associated with taxes, or rather with evasion. I will repeat to you once again that if you do not want to pay taxes, hire competent accountants and lawyers, let them, within the legal framework, minimize taxes for you, or even relieve you of them altogether. And it is precisely within the framework of the law that this must be done. I myself do not break the law and do not advise you to do so. You need to pay taxes, but you need to do it wisely. Of course, you can find articles on the internet devoted to this topic and personally familiarize yourself with those machinations that will save you from taxes. But you know what, friends, you have one head, and the state has many of them, and all these gifted heads, day and night, think about how to rob you. You don't have to consider yourself very smart, it's better to always consider yourself a fool, but act wisely. This is my advice to you, I follow it myself. I hope that you understand me, and here I want to offer you another article of mine to read. It's called Who Needs Money, and it will definitely be useful for you, as well as all my other articles. Taxes for the poor. Actually, those of you who are more or less financially educated understand perfectly well that taxes are paid by poor and stupid people, because the tax was invented precisely for them. Actually, mental weakness leads to poverty, so a lot is cut from such people. Whether it is fair or not, well, that is another question, so to speak, a philosophical one, and we really do not need to consider it, since it will not give us anything. If life is intended the way it is intended, why condemn it? Rich and powerful people do not pay taxes, they have no one to pay them. Of course, these people also have their problems, they also have to share money, and in general, money, as I have repeated many times, is just an illusion, and any day now, you will be deprived of everything, including everything related to money, so money itself has no value. But still, I will not tell you fairy tales here about the terrible life of the rich, which must be worse than the life of the poor and honest. Of course, it is better to be rich than poor. Of course, the rich live at the expense of the poor. In fact, the presence of wealth indicates that there is poverty. However, the rich do not need the money itself, but the values that can be bought with it, and first of all, these are people who are sold for money. Therefore, the rich have fewer problems, much fewer. But what can you do? Not everyone can be rich, but everyone can come to this. Everyone has such an opportunity in life. And so I, and other people, share knowledge about how to become rich and live a more prosperous life. Taxes are the price for stupidity and weakness, that's if you look at the root of this issue. Taxes were actually invented for the poor, for those at whose expense the elite of a particular society would live. This is far from the only thing that the rich have actually given to the poor. After all, the poor not only pay taxes, they also work for the rich, entertain them, sell their bodies to them, fight and die for them, since they have nothing else left. So a tax is the least of the troubles that can fall on the shoulders of a poor person, who, by the way, is poor not so much by his position as by his mental abilities. A tax is a tribute, it is not so much a part of the money that you have to give to someone who can take everything from you. It is your work for someone who is somehow higher in the social chain than you. You give away your money, and along with it, you give away a part of yourself, that is, a part of your life energy. Money is nothing, it's trash, your head is what's valuable, and it doesn't matter how much the state has taken from you. it's important how much gray matter you lack in your head to not give anything back. After all, being people who do something in order to get money for their actions, you must think about how to save this money, the result of your labor. This is necessary in order to buy people, not to get toys, but to be free from the shackles of money. If you have money, you don't need to work much, that's the trick. Money and taxes are essentially your slavery. Working for yourself, you somehow live; working for others, you don't live, you survive. And do I even need to tell you that the average worker, no matter whether he works for hire or is engaged in business, being close to the bottom of the social pyramid, works not only for himself, but also for several other people. The poor, who pay not so much taxes as work for anyone but themselves, thus cultivate a lot of parasites sitting on their necks. Such is life, no matter how many times it can be repeated if someone still does not understand it. But those who are now being worked on like a damned donkey should not despair, since nothing in this life lasts forever and everything is relative. If you, friends, set a goal for yourself to become smarter, thereby becoming stronger and rising above the main mass of the identified people, it will become easier for you, and most importantly more interesting to live. Life is a game, you need to play it and not take it too seriously, so as not to destroy your inner world with external circumstances. Taxes were created for the poor. Before taxes, there was also a humiliating tribute, and in general, the poor and weak have always been exploited, and it does not matter at all in what form it happened. In fact, we can say that paying taxes is comparable to slavery, with all the humanistic reasoning that taxes must be paid. The law must also be observed, but not everyone observes it, because again, it was written for the poor and the weak, who will always be used and limited. So friends, your head is your power, use it as actively as possible, do not litter it with all sorts of vomit from the box, do not pour pig's drink into it, do not expose it to unjustified risks and protect it from blows. Instead, develop your head better, read a lot, communicate more with smart people, look for people stronger than you and adopt their strength. In short, develop your intellect, grow, and no one will command you and exploit you. Money is only a small part of all the negativity that people have to endure who are not strong enough to not allow themselves to be robbed and forced to work for others. Other aspects of life suffer no less. Even personal life does not go well for those who are mentally weak. For such people, their whole life is full of mistakes and disappointments. And taxes, while you pay them, remind you that there are still people in this life to whom you need to grow and outgrow them. And again, I recommend you read one of my previous articles, which is called Little Money: Expand Your Horizons of Knowledge. Money was invented by people, and it is easier to understand than this world, which was invented by God. Taxes you pay voluntarily. Do you think, friends, that only income tax and other deductions to the big guy make your life somewhat incomplete, in which you feed not only yourself and your family, but are also forced to feed others? Yes, this is only a psychological factor that puts pressure on you, in the form of losing money, which is hard for you to part with. But there are other taxes that take away much more money from you, and which you pay voluntarily. You and I can scold the government that taxes us, we can count the money that we are forced to give it, fearing violence against ourselves through the law, we can be indignant about those, frankly speaking, insignificant monetary charges for utilities and other our property, but at the same time, completely ignore the frankly idiotic waste of money on all sorts of nonsense. Look at the things around you. If you are at home, pay your attention to those very things that surround you. Aren't these things similar to those you see on TV, where some idiots show them off and praise them? Pay attention to your washing powder, which cleans everything that can be cleaned. Pay attention to your toothpaste, which makes your teeth fall out. Open your refrigerator and look at what's in it. Is there something there that you've already seen somewhere? Do you understand what I mean, friends? Don't think you understand, think better. Watch a French film, 99 francs, although it is a little stupid, but the essence of it is very serious, then you will understand me not only on the level of logic, but also on the level of emotions. When you go to a store and see a product in it, and, as it seems to you, you buy it completely consciously, in fact, you often buy it by inertia, subconsciously remembering the importance of this product. It is implicit memory that forms the basis of your choice. These are the experienced emotions that pop up in your head when you see the advertised product. That is why advertising is emotional. It is full of many simple and bright moments. It pronounces catchy and bright slogans, and all this goes straight to your subconscious. And what do we end up with? It turns out, friends, that you voluntarily pay a tax that is an order of magnitude higher than what the state takes from you, although this money also works for those in power. You think that you consume and you are happy about it, but no way, you do not consume anything, you replace real life with junk. Now the most important and most deadly tax that is taken from you is the tax collected through loans. Just think about the meaning of a loan, not only from the point of view of the interest rate, but also from the point of view of the impact of the loan on your behavior. It has long been known to everyone that in order to sell something to people, you need to appeal to their emotions, not their minds. Logic is alien to people, well, most people anyway, but emotions are simply raging in most heads. The overwhelming majority of people live by emotions, they stimulate them, they are guided by them. People also make many decisions based on emotions. This is pure psychology, which is well known to those who invented loans. Well, friends, the point here is that they show you a product, excite your emotions, and while you are hot, they sell you something that you probably don't need at all. But here's the problem, you have no money. It seems like a small thing, but it's unpleasant, like they wish you well, selling you miracle crap, appealing to your ego and inflating it, and all they need from you is money, which you don't have. And this is where credit comes in handy, because it allows you to buy something now, and then, no, not pay for what you bought, but understand that you bought nonsense, for which you will now toil, paying off the debt. In general, of course, I don't know how well I explain all this to you, but I think it's not that hard to understand that the percentage of useless things, coupled with the percentage of overpayment for them, is simply a killer tax. It's like in the book The Richest Man in Babylon, which said that you pay anyone but yourself, because you are forced to work for money and then give it to others. But money is your time and your energy, it's your health, it's life that passes you by while you change one car for another, while you work like a horse to pay for things you don't need at all. Yes, with a full understanding of this, no tax will be scary for you, and if you personally want to stop paying taxes, start with the tax on your stupidity, which is, well, very big. It is not by chance that I decided to write to you about this at the very end, that is, about the money that we lose working for junk, that we lose because of childhood playing in our asses, and I am not even talking about the lost money that you simply do not earn, because you do not know how to do it, you are too busy working for junk to know about it. Judging by the advertising costs, which we can learn from publicly available statistics, it is advertising that stimulates consumption that is called upon to collect the largest tax from us. And I would still like to finish this article, not by focusing your attention on taxes and tax evasion, but by drawing your attention to your life, to which I hope you will pay your attention and understand that I am right. What are you working for, friends? Is all this, what you pay money for, worth your sweat and blood? And since you are so inquisitive that you read this, by no means small article to the end, then I want to recommend you to read my other article, which is called Man and Money. Believe me, my materials about money will make you smarter and, of course, richer. And as for taxes, then drawing a line under the above, I want to say the following: for your sound sleep and for the stability of the political and economic system in the country, their friends, you need to pay.